Before we get into the guide, I want to tell you a quick story. You see, I started working out about 10 years ago, and after the first 6 years of working out, I felt like I really had nothing to show for it. It's only been in the last 4 years that I've actually noticed some real change in my strength, in my physique, and in my overall levels of fitness. I think that part of that is because I've been working as a physical therapist, and I've had a lot more exposure to the different types of workouts. I've stayed up on a lot more of the research, and I feel like I have a better understanding of what these things entail. So in this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how you should exercise so that it's efficient, it's effective, and you're not wasting your time. Instead, you're making actual, real progress while you're working out. The great thing about this is that if you put these steps into place, you will probably be working out more effectively than 80 to 90% of gym veterans that have been doing this for decades or longer. This video is essentially a step-by-step process to get you those sweet, sweet gains that you so desperately want. If you watch from beginning to end, this video will cover basically every question that you need to know about exercise. Now, before we get much further, I do just want to ask you to subscribe and like this video, as it does motivate me to put out more content, because I do love creating this information, but it can be difficult. It is very time consuming. So please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, so if you're just starting out with exercise, then I would personally recommend starting with big compound movements. This includes things like squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, rowing, pull-ups. Those really are the big ones. You're going to hit multiple muscle groups at the same time, and these lifts can be loaded to a very high degree. You're going to increase the stimulus that you apply to your muscles, and you're going to get nice growth in a lot of different areas. There are a million different splits out there. My favorite is a push day and a pull day. So I push with my legs, I push with my upper body, and then the next day that I work out, I pull with my legs and I pull with my upper body. Basically, we're just trying to get a nice rounded out approach to the lifting program, whatever it is that you choose. Now, you can also find machines, if you don't feel comfortable with free weights, to do a lot of these exercises with. The other thing I'll say about doing these compound movements is that sometimes other muscles will not get the amount of stimulus that you want to apply to those muscles. So let's say I'm doing rows. The primary target of doing a row is the back. That includes the lats, the traps, the rhomboids, the deltoids, but because of the line of pull in a row, most of the leverage is being applied to the shoulder joint and not to the biceps. So this would be a great case where I would do isolation bicep curls in order to get more benefit and more intensity and more stimulus to my biceps. So even though the main goal should be to focus on the compound movements, on global movements to strengthen as many muscles as possible, I would still add in some isolation exercises based on your particular goals. Okay, so for the next step in the process, we are trying to determine whether or not you should train with a full range of motion. The answer is yes. For every exercise that you're doing, you should be training through the full range of motion that you have that's pain-free. I will say that there is some potential benefit to training through the lengthened portion of the exercise. Essentially the portion of the exercise where you have the most stretch in a muscle. So for example, let's say I'm doing push-ups. I can work through the full range of motion down into a deep stretch position, but I'm also going to work all the way back up to the top position. Now, if I feel like I want to get a little more of a burnout at the end of my set, I can actually just do what are called lengthened partial repetitions. This is a way that I can drive further hypertrophy, further strength gains, and make sure that I'm burning all the way out and taking myself to complete failure for that exercise. Now, it's not totally necessary to train all the way to failure in the lengthened partial range. You can just train through a normal range of motion and you will be absolutely fine. Let's move on to the next thing, and that is how many times a week should you work out? This one is a little bit tricky because it depends on a lot of things, such as your schedule. If you have a stacked schedule and you can only work out one time a week, I guess you can only work out one time a week. If you have 6 days a week that you can work out, then you can work up to 6 days a week. For most people, 3 to 4 times a week is probably the most optimal. However, I have found that most people are able to be the most consistent with going 2 to 3 times a week and planning for that. No matter how many days a week you choose to work out, you just need to make sure that you are giving your muscles enough time to rest before their next workout. So if I'm going to do bicep curls and work out my biceps, I need to make sure I give my muscles about 48 hours of rest before I work them out again. Now, in that 48-hour window, I could work out any other muscle group that I want to. The moral of the story is I'm letting my biceps rest so that I can work them out hard again in a couple of days. And that's where the idea of workout splits come into play, because some days I'm going to want to work my back, my biceps, my quads, and my glutes. And on my off day, I'm going to work my chest, my triceps, my hamstrings, and my calves. Now, it doesn't matter what the split is. You just need to make sure that you give time for those muscles to properly rest. Moving on, step number 4, and that is how many sets do you do on the days that you work out? I'm going to keep this one very simple. I would start off with 3 sets for each muscle group that you're targeting. Over time, after 2, maybe 3 weeks, I would add in another set, and then another couple weeks go by, add in another set, and then another couple weeks go by, and you would add in another set until you get to about 6 sets per muscle group per workout. Now, this varies on the amount of time you have. This varies person to person. Some people are really good responders to working out and they don't need that many sets. Some people need way more sets than that. So you just have to play around, but on average, 3 to 6 sets per muscle group is going to be just fine for you. Again, this is not a video teaching you how to be a bodybuilder. This is teaching you how to get stronger, grow a little bit more muscle, and get into really good shape. Not only that, it's about making sure that your exercises are efficient and effective, and that you're not wasting your time when you go to the gym. So now we have how many days a week we should work out and how many sets we should do during each workout session. But now we need to know how many reps we need to do during each set. Now let's keep this simple. You basically just need to train very close to failure. And what I mean by that is you should have about 1 to 2 repetitions left in the tank. Let me show you what I mean by training to failure. Here I'm doing a set of tricep pushdowns. As you can see at the beginning of the set, I am pushing pretty hard and the weight is moving pretty quickly. As I continue on in the set, my range of motion remains the same, but the rep speed begins to slow down a little bit. Typically, this is a good indicator that you're starting to get close to failure. As I get towards the last few reps, I actually lose a little bit of range of motion at my elbows and my rep speed slows significantly. Here on the last rep, you can see I don't quite lock out and the rep speed was very slow. Tiring. So taking yourself all the way to failure, I would say once a month is probably good enough. Beyond that, you're probably just overworking yourself a little bit too much. You may see slight gains over if you were to leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank, but if you leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank, it ensures that you have enough energy for your next set and you're not going to be killing yourself every single workout. I mean, it's not going to feel great still, but you will be able to get through it. So how many reps should it take you in order to get to that point? This is where there's a little bit of nuance because you can get to that point from 1 repetition, but you could also get there in 60 repetitions. Now, as you move lower down below 6 repetitions, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you are in that category, you are going to be taxing your nervous system much more heavily than if you were to stay above that range. This means that you'll need more time between sessions in the week and you'll need more time between your sets, upwards of 3 to 5 minutes of rest. It's just not efficient. Now, on the other hand, if you were to train beyond 15 reps, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 repetitions until failure, you are spending so much time working out in your set that it's adding minutes and minutes to your workout when you could just do 1 set of 15 or 10 repetitions, take a break, and then hop back into the next set. So to put it simply, it should take between 6 and 15 repetitions to get you 1 to 2 reps away from absolute failure. Okay, so the question is for step number 6, how much rest do we need in between our sets? This varies based on your comfort level, based on your cardio level, based on how close you took your set to failure, but the general rule is 1 to 3 minutes. Typically, I rest between a minute to a minute and a half for all of my sets. However, I do a special trick that's coming up at step number 7, so just wait a second and we'll get to that. Now, as a general rule of thumb, the big compound lifts that we talked about at the beginning of the video are going to need a little more rest time, maybe upwards of 3 minutes if you really push yourself all the way to failure. The isolation exercises and the accessory work will likely need a little bit less rest because it's a little less taxing overall for your body. Now we're going to move from step 6 right into step 7 because we are going to talk about supersets. Supersets are a way that you can decrease your workout time without sacrificing a lot of your gains. So here's an example of a superset that I like to do. That is front squats followed by tricep pushdowns. What I can do is 2 very different exercises that do not involve the same muscles, and I can push them both very close to fatigue without taking rest in between those exercises. What this does is effectively cut out 50% of all of your rest times. It can be a little bit more taxing, but it can also be extremely efficient for your workouts. So if you're someone that's short on time, make sure that you are using supersets so that you can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your workout. Okay, moving on to step number 8. That is doing some cardio. I recommend at a bare minimum doing zone 1 or zone 2 cardio for 10 minutes. These zones of cardio are really good for your cardiovascular health, your blood pressure regulation, your blood glucose regulation. It's just a great way to stay healthy for a long time. And working in zone 2 cardio can also help your workout be more effective because your rest will become more efficient. As you become better at doing cardio, your body will also get better at recovering in between sets. This is going to continue increasing your efficiency and your effectiveness of your workout. Step number 9, get at least 7 hours of sleep if possible. I'm going to break this down into 3 simple reasons why. 1, it prevents overtraining. 2, it gives you enough energy to get your workouts done. 3, it allows your body to recover properly so you can continue to train hard. If you're not sleeping for at least 7 hours, you're probably not going to recover very well, and then you're going to stop training because you don't feel like it, because you don't have energy, because you didn't recover. Just sleep, please. Okay, so for step number 10, we are going to do a tiny bit of math so that you can understand how much protein you should be intaking. Now, if you live in America or you weigh yourself in pounds, you will need to convert this number into kilograms by dividing your weight by 2.2. Okay, so I have 190 pounds divided by 2.2 equals 86.4 kilograms. Now, I will take my weight in kilograms. I'm going to move it over here, okay, 86.4, and I'm going to multiply it by 0.7. This is the amount of protein I should be eating in grams, and it gives me my total daily intake of recommended protein. Now, 0.7 grams per kilogram of body weight is a really good maintenance intake of protein. I personally like to hover around the 1.7 mark. Keeps me full, gives me good energy, and it helps me make more gains overall. So that means each day I need to eat about 147 grams of protein if I want to continue to make the progress that I'm making. Now at the upper limit, you can have 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Beyond the 2 grams, research is not totally clear on whether or not this is beneficial. Find the range that you like. If you want to stay more in a maintenance range, I would stay from 0.7 to 1.0. If you want to start focusing a little bit more on gaining muscle size and strength, I would focus between 1.1 to 1.7, 1.8. And if you're really trying to pack on a lot of mass, I would hang out in the 1.8, 1.9, 2.0, and maybe above 2.0. But again, research is not super clear on that. Okay, that's enough. If this video did help you, please like, please subscribe. It helps push my video to others just like you that also want to know this information. Finally, if you want to get a little better at pull-ups because you're probably making some mistakes, I would check out this video over here, and I'll see you next time. Peace.